Welcome to Significant Brothers. I'm Brad.
I'm Chase.
And I'm Cray.
And today we are talking about interesting diseases. I mean, I don't know if the diseases themselves are interesting, but they often provide interesting symptoms and have stories behind them that make them better than the common cold. So,
define better.
Well, they're better at their job. And I think, I don't know. What is the point of a disease?
Probably to kill us.
To inflict misery.
Yeah. I think to live. I think they all just want to live.
Well, yeah, I guess the diseases want to live. They just want to have a ride with us, I guess. And sometimes that ride kills us.
As long as they can reproduce and move to other hosts. I think that's what everyone wants in life, right? So, Cray, what did you pick for your disease?
I chose dancing mania. So, in the year 1518 in Strasbourg, which was then part of the Holy Roman Empire, but which is now in northeastern France, there's a woman named Frau Trofea, or Mrs. Trofea. She doesn't get a first name. She started dancing in the street non-stop. They just couldn't stop her. She was dancing, and within a month, there were 400 dancers just dancing with her non-stop. They weren't even doing a dance marathon. They weren't raising any money. In fact, most of them danced until they collapsed, and even some of them died because they were dancing so much because you couldn't stop the beat. And some of it was like from heart attacks or just from exhaustion. So this wasn't the only case that this happened. The earliest case, because this one was 1518, the earliest case was like in the 7th century. And it happened mostly in Europe from the 14th to the 17th century.
Was there any organization with this dancing? Were they all dancing to the same beat? Was there a song being played that everyone was dancing to?
Okay, so historians don't really know. They know it happened. They know it was like a legitimate disease. They just don't know exactly what caused it or like what triggered it. So symptoms usually involve like convulsions or chest pains, hallucinations, hyperventilation, visions, epileptic episodes, and your ultimate collapse of exhaustion. So if you're listening to this and you have any of those things and also you're dancing nonstop, you should go see a doctor.
You probably got roofied at a nightclub, most likely.
Or you should see a historian. I'm sure they love
historian. Go to a historian first because it's all for scholarship. And apparently when the dancers, they were dancing, they seemed unconscious, like they were out of this world and they just couldn't control themselves. And also they would really like if you were dancing with them. Like it was like contagious in the area. If you saw other people dancing, you'd be like, I also need to dance. And also if you weren't dancing, people would kind of look at you and be like, why aren't you dancing right now? Yeah, it was contagious for reasons somewhat unknown. We do have some theories. Theories of the day when it was happening, they either thought like it was caused by a demon or Satan, so there's exorcisms, or that was the solution, was exorcism, or they would isolate them. Some thought it was a curse from Saint, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Saint Vitus, who is the patron saint of a lot of things.
It is Saint Fetus or Vitus?
No, it's a Saint Vitus, Vitus. Vitus,
so
I don't know. He's the saint of many things, but it includes dancers. So they thought maybe it was a curse from him. And also, fun fact, he doesn't only protect you from lightning strikes, but he also protects you from oversleeping. So,
oh, thank goodness.
Man, he was not with me yesterday.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
My goodness, he has not been with me most of my life. Or they also thought it was a curse from St. John the Baptist. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm sure there's some logic there.
I mean, if he was a Baptist, he's probably not doing that much dancing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that was his ultimate form of punishment. But people also thought during the day that you could cure the disease by accompanying the dancers by playing music. So they thought they have to keep the afflicted moving in order to ultimately cure them of this dancing. So they would hire musicians to keep playing music for people. However, this usually just caused more people to join in.
Oh, that's so bad.
Logically, I think you would not want people to keep dancing if the disease is dancing. Your solution shouldn't be keep moving. I think your solution should be stop that right now. There's actually a version of dancing mania specific to Italy called tarantism. So people would believe that they were poisoned by something like a scorpion or a tarantula, and they would try to dance out the venom. And some people would join along because they said, I once got bit by something poisonous. Maybe it's reactivated. I should dance too. And some people would think that poison might be contagious. I should dance with you as well. So it's pretty much synonymous with dancing mania. It's just specific to Italy. And they have their own type of music that'll go to it, really fast-paced music called the tarantella, which I feel like you guys may have heard about before.
So I kind of like that a little bit more because it seems like they were trying to cure themselves of something, whereas it was like a disease that was trying to cure a disease, essentially. Although I guess that's really the wrong way about going about trying to get venom out of your body, especially increasing your heart rate just to make the venom go through faster.
Makes it go down easier. But current scholars, they can't necessarily pin it down to one factors, but they do have some theories. Some believe that like religious cults were putting all of these on and staging them. Although I find that hard to believe because that's like 3 centuries of staged dancing throughout Europe. And I feel like that's a pretty far reaching hand for a religious cult. Some think it was like everyone danced as stress relief to get away from the misery of their lives for bad crop yield. Which also I'm kind of like,
None of these theories seem to make sense to me. But maybe only because the dancing doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know if any theory will justify it for me.
Yeah.
The whole disease is just kind of bizarre.
It is bizarre. There's also ergot disease, which is basically when you eat a lot of rye and it's infected with a certain fungus. And then it gives you certain symptoms that are synonymous with the dancing mania, but doesn't necessarily describe all of the dancing mania. Or the last one, which I think makes the most sense and which I think most people believe is part of it, is a mass psychogenic illness, which is sort of like mass hysteria when someone else is doing something, everyone else in the area is doing something, and maybe a bad crop yield or stress triggered it. But mostly I think it's like a mass hysteria thing that once everyone is doing something, you just feel compulsed to also do it. So a modern example of a mass psychogenic illness would be in 2001 when the anthrax attacks were happening. And then right after, there were like 2,300 false anthrax alarms in the US, some people reporting physical symptoms. So it's the same idea that once everyone has it, everyone wants it, I guess.
So it's like hypochondria.
Yeah. And then it just kind of took the form in mass hysteria and dancing, and ultimately dancing until you died or just collapse of exhaustion.
So I guess it's only because the anthrax thing, people were, I guess, it was a false positive of them making themselves think that they had symptoms of something that was bad, but they didn't actually have it. Did people think that the dancing was bad at the time?
Well, no, I think they were sending out anthrax, right?
No, yeah.
That was, a lot of people were sending it out?
I think so. I don't really know. Just sort of a example. Of the time, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's viewed as a problem because that wasn't conducive to a productive society as everyone's dancing and then very tired.
What are you going to do in the meantime? It's not like you have any crops because they all died.
Yeah, I guess so. Why not dance till you die?
Yeah.
If you don't have barley, what's the point anyways?
You could go drink, but you don't have any money because, your crops died.
Yeah, I think that was actually one of the cures of tarantella was to drink a lot of wine, which is my solution to most of anything.
It's not bad, but you can afford that because your crops didn't die.
That's true. Us civilized folks don't need to farm. Okay, no, that sounds mean to farmers.
That's awful.
So I chose the blue fugate. I kind of wanted to avoid genetic diseases just because they aren't contagious. They aren't usually as exciting. But this is an extremely rare and probably will never ever happen again instance of a family. They're literally Smurfs, not literally Smurfs, but their skin is blue.
Did they blow themselves?
They
Oh,
blew
sorry, that doesn't
themselves.
make sense with
Yeah. Well, actually, yes, they did blue themselves. Because it's a case of inbreeding. So honestly, this is 100% their fault.
Okay.
All right.
So you guys know how you have those veins in your body and they're blue because oxygen hasn't reached the blood yet, and that's why it's blue?
Yes.
Well, first off, that's not even really true because your blood's always red. But in this case, it's because hemoglobins or methemoglobins are unable to bring the oxygen to certain parts of their body, specifically their skin, and that is what's causing them to be blue. But that's it. They're normally fine, healthy people otherwise. But they're just blue. They can live to the ripe old age of 80 or 90, like not most of us, but a lot of people.
Well, so what happens if they hold their breath?
That's a really good question, actually. Maybe they turn more blue.
Wow.
Maybe nothing happens. Maybe they don't breathe at all. And that's why they're blue.
They are so blue.
But yeah. Oh, you're looking them up?
Yeah.
Now, I think I heard this. This might not be true, but there was a piece of chewing gum that someone had invented, and it took you through the courses of different meals. And so it would be like a 3-course meal, and then for dessert they had blueberry pie. And I think one girl in a factory accident, she actually turned into a blueberry, and her skin turned blue.
Violet was turning violet.
Violet.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. Violet, you're turning violet, Violet.
Yeah, those two people should talk. They if nothing comes of it, like disease-wise, any knowledge, they at least have something in common.
Well, I think the last person born with this disorder was born in like 1975.
When inbreeding was still cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, they came over, they're in the Appalachian area, and you're kind of stuck in the mountains, so who looks pretty cute? Well, your sister does, but that's kind of bad, so we'll settle with our cousin Vicky, because, she's not the cutest thing, but she's the only thing that you got, so let's just go for it, and then, the Lord strikes you down, punishes you, and gives you a blue child, and then next thing you know, you got a bunch of Smurfs running around.
Now, do their children, are they also just guaranteed to be blue, or
basically, if you have if your genes lined up and you were a blue person, you had a 25% chance of passing that on to your children. So not like guaranteed, but still pretty significant. But the disorder, it caused your skin to look blue, your lips looked purple, and your blood looked like chocolate. So basically, I guess what happens...
No, you know, elaborate on that? Chocolate.
yeah,
it looks like chocolate. That's what they said. Maybe...
like it flows like chocolate?
No, it just looks like chocolate.
So like the
It's brown.
No, so the like the veins that we have, they look blue on our skin. The blood then looks, I guess, they look like brown for them.
No, I think the color of the veins and arteries are still the same. It's just the blood inside of it's a different color.
Weird. But otherwise, they're just normal people?
Otherwise, they're just completely normal people. Yeah.
I can't believe there's an entire like show about those types of people. Do they play instruments? They catch marshmallows in their mouth?
No, They're normal people, guys. They just live in the Appalachian area and they just needed someone to love, and then they ended up with blue children. There is a cure. And ironically, the cure is drinking this blue liquid, which gives the enzymes to help oxygenate the blood. They have to drink it like every day, but it turns their skin back to normal rosy pink color.
So they drink this blue elixir that is probably essentially Kool-Aid.
It's methylene blue, is what it is.
I don't know.
I don't really know what that means. So yeah, they drink blue plus blue equals rosy pink.
Makes sense.
Yeah. That's what happens with my paint set when I was a kid. I mixed the blues together and turned into an Appalachian white person.
So yeah, they're basically back to normal though, because you're able to get out of the mountains more. You're able to get out around. Tinder's probably helped a lot with this. So bada bing, bada blue. Trace, what did you talk about?
1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumping back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, a frabjous day, Calloo Calais, he chortled in his joy. I did Jabberwocky syndrome, a disease about fighting an imaginary beast that's made up of imaginary words. Oh, no, wait. I got the wrong Lewis Carroll themed disease. The one I did is Alice in Wonderland syndrome.
I almost did that one.
Oh, good. Well, you wouldn't have done an intro like that, I'll tell you what.
No, you're right. I'm glad you did it, not me.
Obviously, this is taken from the book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. It's exactly what it sounds like, unless you think it's about a bad trip you're taking and you happen to follow a rabbit into a hole. So this is essentially where people... I don't know if you guys ever read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland or seen any sort of version of it. You haven't?
I haven't read it, but I've seen movies.
I've seen a version of it.
Right.
The newfangled one.
You never saw the cartoon?
No.
It was kind of horrifying as
I'm
a
an
child.
uncultured swine.
So you probably know something about it, but essentially what this disease is about is people experience micronesia, where objects appear smaller than they are, macronesia, where they appear larger, pelepesia, where they appear closer than they actually are, and telepesia, where they appear further away than they actually are, and Cheshiresia, where you hallucinate that you see a fading smile of a Cheshire cat.
Wow.
Yeah, that last one's made up. But the other ones are real because there's the bit in the book where Alice is rather large and she's in a room with small objects. This mostly happens to children. A few adults have it, but it's mostly triggered they found out by migraines. They interviewed about 48 patients from 1993 to 2013 for people who had this syndrome while they were a child. And about 33% of the cases traced some sort of infection. About 6% were migraines, and another 6% were because of head trauma. And about half of the time, there wasn't a cause for it. There's nothing to explain it. And I think what's actually one thing that's not so great about it is you can't observe it because the brain looks normal when they aren't having these sort of hallucinations. So if you're lucky enough to be near an MRI machine and then the person is in it and then they're having that episode, you can actually observe it in the brain, but it's so rare that happens because it's infrequent and you can't predict it. Well, so yeah, it's associated with migraines and brain tumors, and apparently the use of psychoactive drugs can also trigger it, so it's making me wonder, how much acid are these kids dropping in order for this to happen to them? Because I kid you not, that's actually something that is could potentially be a result of taking that drug.
So was this a disease recorded before Alice's Adventures in Wonderland came out?
Funny enough, it may have. Lewis Carroll, they think, actually suffered from this because of he suffered from migraines, and he had brief descriptions of little episodes where things appeared to be bigger or smaller than he was. We assume that that's maybe how he got the inspiration, and I think what an aptly name for the disease, because then he decided to write a book later on called Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So which came first, the disease or the book? We'll never know.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on iTunes and Podbean. Just search Significant Brothers. Also, be sure to rate and review. It really helps.
And if you want to tweet us, you can find us on Twitter at Significant Bros.
And you can sign up for our incredibly interesting newsletter at tinyletter.com/significantbrothers. And you can also email us at sigbrotherspod@gmail.com.
Oh, I know. It could be like 5.1 surround shower. And so you get 5 shower heads around, and then you get one shooting up from the bottom.